call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, January the 11th, at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. We are meeting in the Tooele County Auditorium located at 47 South Main Street. This is the Erda City Council meeting. We'll start with a roll call. Terry Miner. Here. Clyde Christensen.
Here.
Craig Smith is here. Sheldon.
I'm here.
And Scott
is here.
All right. Next on our agenda is a pledge. I'll leave that to the middle. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Our next item is the election of the chair and the vice chairman for the year 2024. I'll start by nominating Sheldon Birch as the chair.
Second. You okay with that?
I think so.
Let's get him now.
Well,
Elect him now.
I'd like to amend that too, to say Sheldon is the chair and Craig is the co-chair, vice chair.
Yeah, that's a good addition.
I second that.
I'm okay with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Sheldon, there's the big desk.
Yeah. That means I have to sit in the middle.
Yep.
Camera's on you.
Turned.
Everything goes that smooth. We could be out of here in 20 minutes.
Well,
The meeting
you
after.
put somebody in charge.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna go that smooth. Next thing on the agenda though is to approve meeting minutes from December 28th.
I've read them. I believe they're accurate. I move that we approve the meeting minutes from December 28th.
Second.
Second, third. Oh, we got a second and a third.
Well, you weren't here.
Is there any, oh yeah.
I didn't read them.
Any discussion?
You got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now, let's see, next thing on the agenda is public comment. We have to have a motion to open public comment? No,
I think we just open it up.
Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is public comment, and it's, the podium's available for anyone, including you, Kendall. We ask that you not take more than 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
According to our
Dale's two.
Is it 2 in the procedures?
We fudge on that a lot, so.
Here tonight, my name's Kendall Thomas, and I'm on the Tooele County Council. And I'm here tonight to give you a little bit of an update on Mid-Valley Highway. As you know, in October of 21 is when we opened the first phase of Mid-Valley Highway. It first come to light in 1977. It kind of just fell by the wayside because nobody pushed it. And then in 2014, Chamber of Commerce got behind it and helped move it along. So it took from 2014 to 21 to get the first phase done. First phase would have cost in 77, $14 million. Second now, and we just finished, it was $100+ million. So they're gonna have a meeting on the first, there's 2 dates coming up here. It's gonna be February 8th and 9th. And I don't know where it's gonna be, don't know the agenda yet, but we know it's gonna be in Tooele County. And they have these meetings around the state from time to time. It's a 5-member commission, and they set the priorities for projects in Utah. Very competitive. And so they're coming here on the 8th. I believe they're gonna go on a road tour, and they're gonna go visit the sites with UDOT. Carlos, can't remember. Yeah. He is over UDOT. He's already got it lined out, mapped out what they're gonna do. I went to a meeting in Salt Lake in December and told them about Mid-Valley Highway. They were very familiar with it. and recognized the need for the next phase of it. They're well aware of it. The thing we have to do is we need to have a good presence there. And I talked to some people at the state, the do's and the don'ts, what to do, what not to do. And they said the worst thing you can do to Willa County is be divisive. Show that you're fighting against each other when you talk a bit about Mid-Valley Highway. So let's not worry about the location where all the minor details are, but let's come together and make a good presentation. We need somebody there, and we'll, probably through COG or myself or somebody will get a hold of, I guess Sheldon, you're the new chairman, so we'll probably point that through to you. We need your support. We need to come there unified, speak in favor of it, why we need it, the impact to it, especially to Erda. You know, y'all know you're the focal point right now in the middle of the valley. But on this here, so this is the day. Any questions for you? I'm past my 2 minutes already, Clyde.
What is the second?
Very good question. Do you want to answer or do you want me to try to answer? The second phase?
Yeah.
Second phase?
We don't know if there's two more phases or only one more phase. That
Yes.
hasn't been determined yet.
Second one, I think, is to pick up where it left off and go along the highway, or the airport, I mean, and then come out. The third phase is the one,
But now they're talking about just having one more phase, so that hasn't been determined yet.
Yeah, now Twila City has, I call it on the south end. Mayor Wynn made a good presentation about where she wants it. But I think the direction was at the meeting we had down at Deseret Peak here a couple months ago was to try to get it in one phase. But now they've already started the environmental assessment. And so that's moving forward. It started it last year. And so now it's our turn to make an impression on them. And that's going to be really, really important to the financial, the economic impact, traffic patterns for the safety for the whole valley. And so any other questions?
that's a little,
Councilman, that was a great question. Terry?
that was a little different though than the meeting we had upstairs just last month, where they were talking about not worrying about that phase two, but prioritizing the one for the Twila and the mayor.
See, and it's kind of a moving target that we don't know the final details of it. But if we don't get on the funding list, that's what we're trying to, not the funding list, to identify this as a project that's got to get on the list. That's what we're looking for now, is to get on the list. And the critical one is to get on the funding list. Now, that's the next step. But we need to get on the list that this committee will recommend to UDOT, to the state, my understanding.
So is there a committee formed?
Yes.
There is.
There's 5 members and they represent from 5 different districts. There's 5 different districts around the state.
Oh, I'm sorry, but there's not a committee for the Mid-Valley Highway that you're talking about. You're just asking for us to participate in an informal manner with other leaders in the county to.
Now, the county has talked, we have a lobbyist that, I hate wasting money on a lobbyist, but that's just but you have to have one of the dang guys. And so he's got connections at the state, and so we're working with him to identify the touch points on the state, who the power players are in the legislature, who the power players around that's gonna be needed.
So you want someone from our council to participate in the discussion and be on board and attend both of these meetings, or just the one?
I'll get with you,
Okay.
we'll get you some information, but for sure on the 9th, because on that, and I just printed this off today where it says, the second one, it says on the 9th, that's the Transportation Committee meeting. The meeting above that one is, on the 8th, is a tour that they take. So it's really important that we focus, we do this together. Hopefully, myself or someone from the county will kind of pull the team together to make sure we're doing, our lobbyist is kind of in charge of this right now. And so if you could put that on your calendar, I'd really appreciate it. And Sheldon or any of the council, feel pleased to reach out to me and see if I can answer any questions. Or if you got some suggestions, let us know. Because we don't want to wait another 14 years to get that road built.
Did you get any feedback from the Inland Port Authority?
That may not be a 2-minute discussion.
When I did talk to the people at the state today at Wasatch Front Regional, I talked to them about the gravel pit operators. I talked to them about the inland port people. And they says, Kendall, those are the kind of people you need to have to your presentation. He says they're impact players, especially the gravel truck miners and the people from the import will say, there's gonna be a lot of trucks on that road, kids. And so, great question, Councilman.
Just so you know, Scott and I are on the road committee. We've been to several of the meetings
Yep.
with UDOT and stuff over this
Yep.
stuff, so.
Okay. Any other questions for me? Look forward to seeing you on the 9th then. Thank you.
Any other public comment tonight? We'll move on to the next thing on the agenda then, which is our sheriff's report.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you for being here.
Get my fingers here. Any questions or concerns or anything that we can address?
9 arrests. The overall number seems to be down just a little. Maybe that's
It was the holidays.
because of the cold weather.
We're hoping people behave a little bit.
It seems like there was a lot less calls to Bronzewood.
Yeah, we had a meeting with their director and staff, and it was actually really productive. We were able to kind of understand the kids that they're getting sent there, what they can and can't do, and it's basically the last step before they go to detention. And so they do end up with some pretty problematic kids. But they also have a home in West Jordan, so they kind of move them to each one depending on where they feel like they can function better. But it was really good. We were able to understand, some of the reasons why they are a little bit slow in calling us or what the situation is. So it actually, since we've had that meeting, it's kind of taken a dip. So we hope it stays that way.
Hopefully.
I'm just glad my kids aren't on this list as far as I can tell. Anything else? Or,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
thank you. And I don't have a fire representative, do we?
No, I don't see one.
We'll move past number 8 on our agenda and on to our treasurer report from Terry.
Okay, first, I'm gonna go over a few things kind of for your benefit too.
Oh, okay.
Because the council chair, as per resolution 2214, is the budget officer. So you're gonna be required to approve the payroll checks. We kind of haven't been doing that in fact. So from now on, if you'll put an approval deal to where he can sign off on your time cards or whatever they are, they need to be approved by the chair before they go to Dave.
Okay.
Then, for all the bills and stuff like that, it takes you to approve as the chair and then one councilman other than me. I can't do it because I'm the treasurer. So you plus any other councilman here to sign off on the approval for the expenditure of the funds. Then it comes to me, and then there's 3 things that even with the credit cards, it has to go by. The expenditure, they have to have sufficient funds available for payment. The expenditures must be referenced in the budget and so significant documentation provided at that time. So it's gotta hit all 3 of those before it's an official charge to the city. And as far as like the checks, it has to be signed by the treasurer and one person from the finance committee, which right now is Scott and I, but I can't sign it twice, so it's Scott and I have been doing the signatures for the checks, but this includes credit cards as well, so they need that. Now, in the past, the council has given the treasurer approval to go ahead and automatically pay the monthly routine bills without having to go through all of the process, just kind of a blanket. okay, for the monthly, everyday, ongoing payroll, monthly, charges for our Google Space and all that other type of stuff. So I didn't know if you guys want to do that now and go ahead and approve that, or if you want us to go to approving it all through the paper.
I don't know a reason to change what's been working.
It's good thinking.
So I guess that's the council chair approves and a couple of the councilmen.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
And then also, this last audit, we created a capital projects fund. It's a restricted fund.
Yep.
And it's for saving up for like, to build a town hall and buy the real estate to put it on and equipment and et cetera like that. So long going, expensive, we can now put some money away to do that. I just wanted to, we didn't have one before set up, and we do now. So I just wanted to let everybody know what it's for, and it's restricted. It has to be for that stuff. We can't take stuff out of it and stuff. It's strictly for that. Okay, now for the regular stuff. Deposits from the 29th of December to today amounted to $632.18. Our expenditures, which is check 1212 to check 1218, we had accounting for $750, city planner $2,125, the photo shoot $104.85, legal services $5,000, clerk salary $1,267. North Twilla Fire Department second quarter permit fee $583.93. And we have a refund that we need to approve tonight so I can pay this. Is ES Solar applied for a permit and they were charged $175. However, it's found that the place that they were doing it was not in the city. So I need to write a check and send that money back to them. So the total for this month, as far as checks goes, is $10,005.78. Paid, we had on the credit card, we had $93.83 for office supplies, a $25 charge for an email program that helped send out a, what do you call it, a blast mailer for emails or something.
Yeah, to send out an email to everyone in the city that has an email for.
$11.93 for envelopes, and then $66 for stamps for $196.76. And that was paid on the 2nd of January. And right now on the credit card, we only have an $8.82 charge, which is the Microsoft monthly fee. And we will be paying, we got the quarterly state permit fee that we'll have to send in. Jake just sent that to me tonight, so I'll get that made up and send on. So, any questions?
Done for me. Any other questions down here?
No, I move we accept the treasury report.
Me too.
I second.
I don't know if that counts as a second or not, but we'll count one of
Gotta
those.
be official. Gotta have a number in there.
All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report? Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, thank you, Terry. Next thing on our agenda is discussion of an ordinance 2024-01, establishing our regular meeting schedule for 2024. Do I need to read this? No, okay. So this is just the ordinance to establish the fact that we will be meeting on second and fourth Thursdays of each month at 7 p.m.
The statute requires you to adopt this every year.
Yeah.
That's why.
I make a motion to amend it to where we start having our meetings at the Erda fire station instead of here.
I'll second that motion. Since we are Erda, we could have it in Erda.
We can. Yeah.
What if we get down there and we don't like it?
We can amend this.
Can we?
I mean, it's been
As
good
long as
for
we were-
planning and zoning.
As long as we're allowed back. My problem with moving down there is we do not have a good recording system there,
We have,
or broadcasting
we
system.
have money budgeted to buy brand new stuff.
We do have some money budgeted to buy equipment, but it doesn't seem wise to me to spend $10,000 or $15,000 or $5,000 to buy a temporary set of equipment when we can meet here for free. It doesn't seem like a
Plan-
good,
Planning and zoning has been doing it for this whole time. It's been working fine for them. We need to upgrade our equipment. We need to stand on our own.
well, that is one argument, but
The Erda meeting should be in Erda, in my opinion.
Well, speaking for somebody that's watching them from home, both places aren't very good. They could both use some upgrades as far as sound and visuals and everything. So whether it's here or there, I think it's, needs some fixing up.
It just doesn't come through very well sometimes, is that right?
And I'm not sure where the camera is, but when you're home, you can't see who's speaking and you can't hear very well.
And how many times in here have we said, speak up, we can't hear you.
the acoustics in the other building are better because it's a smaller room. And the people are closer. Must give you that. The recording systems and people trying to listen online are 10 times better here. This is,
Until we get our new equipment.
if we buy it.
Because sometimes the stuff here isn't even here.
I don't wanna make this change on principle. The principle that we're Erda, we should meet in Erda, yeah, that's great, I agree. But we really wanna just make it function and be frugal. Although I do feel like there's room for improvement, and although ideally we would wait to spend money on equipment if possible, the reality is, until we had a more permanent place to meet, I think is the idea. I'm afraid that may be so far down the road that it might be worth spending something now to make.
How much will it cost, do we know?
It just depends on what we buy. I put in the budget like $20,000. That's in the budget, ready to spend, ready to go. We need to buy our own stuff. This is the time to do it. And we can keep it and move it wherever we want it. It goes with us. It's not somebody else's we gotta borrow.
I'm not in favor of $20,000.
Oh, no, that's what I just said. I mean, it does more than just that, but
But if it costs us that much, I don't know that I would.
What would it take to get somebody to bid it out? A couple of
We
different,
need Jess here, don't we?
We,
Doesn't he know this
we
kind of stuff?
had a bid put together for it, and I believe it was close to 18,000, wasn't it, Terry?
depends on which one. If you just did a single mic with the other deal, it was like 5,000. It just depends on what package you get. It depends on us how much we wanna spend.
15,000.
It's not like we gotta take this or take that. This is what we're doing. Now, didn't you have some IT connections?
Well, I certainly know some people, and
I think,
I have a son who's really good at audiovisual stuff and could help probably source some equipment.
I think Jennifer was gonna do some checking too, weren't you?
Again, I had the company come in and do the presentation on their equipment. And then we didn't make a decision, I haven't contacted them, but I can
There's
make,
other companies too, right?
there are. So, I mean,
Can I make a suggestion that you go to the state list to procure this, or you need to go out to a bid?
so we can put in the effort to find it, so I don't know if we want. Yes, I could put in the effort to find it.
it would be something that we could take to a new city hall once we get it. It wouldn't be something that would be permanent at the
Right,
fire
no,
station.
yeah, no.
And I'm glad that John spoke up, because I worry about the whole who has connections, and I'm sure my son can do something for us, but we need to be proper with the
Well,
way
I
we do
meant
it.
just giving us an idea what direction to take, would it be the most feasible to
Okay,
to get?
It does seem like if that's the direction we're going to go, we should get everything ready before we go that direction.
Yeah.
Know what we want.
know what we want and look at it before we make a decision to move.
Well, planning and zoning's been there for a year.
I know, and the recordings are
They've been-
horrible. The recordings are
Been just fine.
awful.
What if you amended your,
But technically, all you need to do is the recording that we're doing right there. You don't need to zoom it or do all that other stuff.
This is true, we don't. We don't have to
So
have
to me,
anything
that
online.
shouldn't be a consideration. It should be just that we're renting that building, we should utilize it more, if you're talking about feasibility.
what if you amended your motion to do the research, to find out what equipment we need and what it will cost, and then we make a decision about,
I'm trying to cut down the traffic run too, from
try to do this by next week.
having to come into the flow of Twilla instead of just going down Erda Way,
Yeah.
travel wise.
Me being the new guy, I can see both sides of it. I probably am more in favor of the idea of making sure we have our ducks in a row to make the leap. And maybe we do have the ducks in a row and I don't know it because I'm the new guy.
Well, like I said, planning and zoning has been doing it since they've been
Yep,
there.
yeah, and I've been to some of their
Shows that
meetings,
it
but I
worked.
haven't tried to log into anything online and I don't have an opinion on that, so.
Well,
We need to get rid of Twilla sooner or later, this building. We need to get on our
What were you
own.
gonna say?
I was gonna make a motion that we adopt ordinance 24-01 as is. And if we want to look into this, then we look into it at another.
Doesn't he have to go for ours? I had a motion.
Yeah, we've got.
Oh, you did make a motion,
Yeah, he made
sorry.
a motion and we had a second.
Right now, this is the discussion.
This is the discussion.
I'm sorry, I forgot you made that motion.
I think we've voiced our opinions. I don't know that we're gonna get any further other than having a vote probably.
Okay.
On that motion, unless you're ready to amend the motion as it's been discussed.
I'm ready to move. 2 miles instead of 8.5 miles is nice for me.
Okay?
Might actually be farther for,
Probably
what
about,
was the difference at my house, 2 miles?
probably about 6
Okay, you'll be pretty close to 6. Yeah.
All right,
I'm in favor of getting everything lined up before we move.
it's fair.
So that's a no.
So I'm a no.
Okay.
You gotta do a roll call.
Special roll
Roll
call.
call vote. Okay, roll call vote. Scott? Drew?
I'm a no.
Craig?
I am a no.
Terry?
Yes.
Clyde?
yes.
And Sheldon is a no. So motion fails. We can entertain a new motion on this ordinance if needed.
Okay, well, I'll move that we adopt ordinance 2401 as is.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on that? We have a discussion, I suppose.
Yeah.
don't we?
And by adopting it as is, that doesn't preclude us from looking at the future, what that would cost.
Yeah.
It's not gonna matter.
Making a change as soon as possible, as soon as it's.
But I think we should just adopt this
Sure.
as is, as per our requirements.
Okay. Any discussion? Terry, Clyde, you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Is this a roll call vote as well then? Okay. We'll go the opposite direction then. Terry,
No.
Clyde,
Yeah,
Scott,
I'm yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we have the motion passing, 4 in favor and 1 opposed. And let's see. This list of meeting dates, does that just go with the ordinance or is that something else that's on the agenda separately?
So one of them is a list of your meeting dates.
Yep.
If you wanted to go over, like, if you wanna meet on the 26th, or if you wanted to strike it now, those kinds of things. The second list is the planning commission's
Yeah.
meeting dates, and they chose to not meet on Christmas Eve, and they struck that from the list to start.
Okay,
So it's just for you to look over and then officially approve their meeting dates.
so we do need to officially approve the dates?
Yes.
Okay, separately from the ordinance?
We don't have an
This
ordinance.
is planning and zoning.
Of the planning and zoning, do we need to approve our dates?
We
That's what
did.
you just did.
Okay, so that goes with that, gotcha.
10 and 11 were together.
So no, 11 is approval of the planning commission, or planning and zoning meeting schedule. So, which is not an ordinance, we just have the schedule and we need to approve that. Correct.
And they've already picked it out.
Yeah, they
I
met.
was- I was
These
there
are
that
the
night.
dates, the regular scheduled dates that they chose.
So we need a motion to approve their schedule.
So move.
Second.
In a second, okay? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And any opposed? Thank you. Now, forgive me to back up for just a second. Do we need to discuss our dates at all, or is that too late because we already passed that ordinance?
We did pass it. We can cancel any meeting we choose.
Okay, so we'll deal with that later.
If there's one
You can.
in particular,
It's just that when I send out the list, I have to post lists in certain places.
And I think it would have been
Preemptively
better
knew there were some you just.
to delete the
weren't gonna
ones so
do.
people aren't saying, well, I might have to be there when they're planning their vacation and stuff, instead of leaving it there and then thinking maybe I have to be there. I just personally cancel it, and they don't have to worry about it. If we need to make one, we can make it.
But we're too late to do that now, correct?
What do you want to
Amendment.
that you bring it back?
Gotcha. Do we want to do that now? Is anyone interested in bringing
So
that back?
what you're saying is we ought to like cancel December 26th and
And people can make their arrangements or whatever without worrying about, well, are we or aren't we gonna have one?
if it's on the schedule, regularly scheduled, if there's something that needs to be done, it can be taken care of. If not, when we post notice, we just post it as canceled. It's pretty, it's very easy to cancel one. It's really hard to put something on a meeting that's not regularly scheduled.
It only takes 24 hours to schedule.
You have to have it as an emergency. It's,
So not as hard to put one on as it is to take.
All
one
right,
out.
so regardless of the varying opinions on it, does anyone wanting, you each have authority to bring it back to the table if you want to do it. If not, we'll move on.
Carry
I can't
Terry
vote
can't
against it.
because he voted against it. The other four of us can. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so it will stand the schedule as is, and we will cancel meetings if needed. Okay. The next thing on our agenda then is to review and discuss Resolution 2024-01. Consideration of Nancy Martin, appointment to Planning and Zoning Commission.
so Clyde, this is your
I have to formally,
district and
so I nominate that we put Nancy Martin in the vacant spot for District 3 for planning and zoning. And she will carry out, she's got 3 vacancies to fill.
well, but this would be for your
We'll
vacancy.
finish my term.
this is for a well-traveled term. It will
Started out with
expire in
Matthews.
June.
Started with Luker and then Harold,
Luker,
then
yeah.
Clyde, and now Nancy. So
Yeah.
it's his appointment to do.
Okay. But it's our approval. We all have to approve everyone that's appointed.
Not on appointed. The only ones we get to, with the consent of the council is the at-large. The way it's written, each councilman can appoint his representative out of his district. And then the two-
Without our approval?
It's his district, that's his appointment. And then the two at-large that cover the whole city is the ones that the city council has advised.
We voted on all 7 of them last.
I didn't get voted
Well, it's
on.
all part of the whole deal, but before, we've always just,
I
they've.
thought I voted on you, but I didn't.
We did because it was a resolution, just like this resolution, we all vote on it.
Okay, so I'm not following the protocol here then.
What
So
I'm
I
saying-
guess we all have to say yay or nay.
I think John's looking it up for us. Is that right, John?
John is looking it up.
Thank you.
The way it reads is each district can appoint his representative. And then the council chair appoints the two at-large with the consent and advice of the council. Councilmen get to appoint their own district people, and then the chair appoints the at-large with the consent and advice of the council.
Okay, I thought we voted on all 7 of them last time.
Well, it's kind of a bundled deal, but the only ones we really have a say on is the at-large ones.
All right.
I remember watching when Jim Harold was put in, and I think his name was just submitted by Cal. And don't quote me, but I think you guys just yay or nay. I don't think there was a.
Because we didn't do a resolution until down the road, because I kept saying, well, we need something to replace this guy, and it was like the second or third one in before we even came up with the deal.
So if I understand
Okay,
right,
so
there's a question of whether it should be a resolution in the first place and a question of whether we vote?
Yeah, I'm confused about what we're gonna,
If it's a resolution, it's a vote, but what I'm saying is, he appoints who he wants. We,
we have no say.
exactly. But if it was the at-large that the council chair appoints.
Only 2.
Then you get to, but that's why each one gets to appoint who he wants to represent his district. You don't get to say in his district who he gets to who he wants to represent. That's his district.
Okay. I had it different in my mind. I thought I would nominate Diane Sagers, and then everyone would approve or not approve.
Like I said, it comes as a deal because we still do as the resolution. But we can't say, no, I don't want that guy you put in for a district. We can say, no, we want somebody else for the council chair, what he put in, but not for the districts.
So how do we proceed here, John? Are you
So John, I
still
found,
looking?
do you want me to read it?
Yeah, my Safari won't open up.
Okay, so it says the commission shall be comprised of 7 members, 1 from each district, and 2 additional members at large. The district members are appointed by their respective council members, and the at-large members are appointed by the chair with the advice and consent of the council. Except for the initial terms as provided below, terms shall be for 4 years. Appointment shall be by resolution of the council. So to me, that indicates that the council still has to approve.
That's my take.
And then it just goes on to list the initial members of the commission shall be appointed as follows and the dates that they
That's
expire.
just the resolution, not the appointee.
But the appointment shall be by resolution of the council. So that's up to your interpretation, but that's what it
I
says.
take it as a resolution of the council, but it's your appointment. You decide who that person is. Their name is on that resolution.
Okay, we've got that for
It's on the resolution.
Then the council has to approve the resolution?
Yeah.
Or
Like it says on them other ones, we didn't do a resolution. I know that for a fact.
So we have a
Only
resolution.
one left.
It sounds like the resolution is in compliance with what our code states from the interpretation of our legal help. And in which case, it sounds like we need a vote on this resolution.
And why did we say this is just until June? Why did we say,
That's when his
That's
term
when the term
ends.
ends.
oh, that's when your term would have ended?
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
And so she would be appointed to fill the rest of your term,
right.
at which point,
She can be reinstated for another 2 years.
or
4.
for your
again, at your recommendation. And apparently with a resolution approved by the council.
Yes.
there you go.
Okay?
I think it's safe to say there is some hesitancy on the council towards Nancy. I hope for the best. I've talked with Clyde. Clyde's certain this will work. He says, I know she's a little brash. I know can be a little out there, but I think she will do a decent job for the city.
I think I used the word passionate.
Not out there.
Could have used this word passionate.
And this is the point.
So I'm not in favor of putting people on the council or on the commission that already have an agenda. That already has an agenda. Sure sounds to me like, I'm in favor of that.
That this is about her, I would agree.
What about you, Sheldon?
I think, I'm okay with it if you all think it's appropriate.
Basically, I have been raised in Utah, and a lot of my, I would say officers or whatever type of thing that would maybe have in this position, I have been a national board of director for the American Quarter Horse for 24 years. On that, I have learned a lot of lessons on it. Yes, you can be passionate. Yes, you can have things like that, but you have to be well-rounded. You have to be to the point where you have to see the overall picture, okay? And I feel like I've represented Utah very well in that. I am now a director at large. That's an appointment above the elected directors. So I have learned a lot through that because I'm of the opinion that things need to be looked at. You can be passionate. I'm passionate with the American Quarter Horse on that, but I still see people, wanting the American Paint Horse, that kind of thing. I'm not saying, oh, you can't have a paint, you have to have a quarter horse. But someone told me, huh?
Sounds reasonable.
But someone, she was the first female president of the American Quarter Horse. And we had talked about it, and she says, Nancy, there is a type of saying that if you throw a pebble into a pond, you need to look at the whole type of rings that come out and see the effect of that one decision affects the entire pond. And that was very good because we've had within that area, we've had that. So yes, I am passionate on living in Erda. I like a rural area. I like the people. I like the beautiful sunset. But I understand that you have to have an educated and you have to have a rules, ordinances, and everything like that. And once you have all of those together, you make an educated decision. And it has to be a responsible decision. You can't just come up and say, well, because I want that. No, I have an opinion, yes, but that does not forego me making an educated decision what would be best for Erda City. So that's the part that I feel like, I can go in there, I can read the rules, I can read ordinances, I can do all that and say, okay, this is what we as a group need to decide on. And what has to be mitigated, if we say just plain out no, yes, those things on that. So I feel like that I'm educated enough that I can, that I can do that. So, that's pretty much, yes, I have a loud voice. Yes, sometimes I can be that. But all in all, I feel like I am fair. I don't feel like that, one thing fits everything. You have to have a well-rounded circle to make that a well-rounded circle. So those are the things that, I am with. So, that's,
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming up and being willing to tell us what you're thinking, what you think and how you feel. So while you're here though, the times that we've heard from you recently, you're very adamant about the petition to change an ordinance applied for by the Materns,
Okay, yes, I live in that subdivision.
and that's the time we've heard from you recently. And that's where I feel like you've got an agenda.
Okay, so when I came back, and Jennifer basically gave me the book of ordinances, because what I think is, I think we all need to be very transparent. I think that what I have heard for the city of Erda, and not necessarily just Erda, I've heard it from Tooele County, I've heard, that type of thing that said, oh yeah, you make these backroom deals. Well, that's not transparency. And those are some of the things, even with the American Quarter Horse, it's perception. Doesn't mean that you did it. It's if people perceive that you have done that, then they think, wait a minute, and that type of thing. So when I read into the ordinances and been to both the planning and zoning on theirs, and the recommendations that they made this last meeting, as far as having the closed building, having, times that they, their operational day times, things like that, having those types of things, how many employees they could have, and stuff like that. And even state law says that all things on conditional use can be mitigated. It doesn't mean that everything has to be in one square. So if you can mitigate to where the people in that subdivision, because if as far as that subdivision, there are several people that have businesses out of that subdivision that have they may be working somewhere else, but they keep their equipment, they keep, some of their materials that they need, but they are enclosed, and you never know that they're there. So if the Materns can go with because they've just implemented or are working on the implementation of having a home base business, within our codes, and if they can do that, I don't have a problem with that. If you're not seen and you're not heard, then why do the neighbors have a problem with it? And so that's the part that I see on going through, and I think that everyone that elected or whatever, get our ordinances and read them, because it's very enlightening as to what they say, and maybe they don't pertain, all of them, to Erda, but that's a start, right? There's a starting point. And so, yeah, that's what I am on that. I mean, if
We need to be careful here.
I do have one simple question,
okay.
or I hope it's simple. Do you feel that you can follow the law and ordinances if a vote is something that personally you feel opposed to?
I feel like on anything, and I've done this through contracts, I've done through friends and stuff like that. If something is in writing that is a rule or an ordinance or whatever, and you abide by that rule, I don't have a problem with that. But that's what there has to be. There has to be, that's what keeps good neighbors good neighbors. That's what keeps friends friends, everything like that. If you have something in writing that states this, and I may be opposed to it, but if I feel like that is the betterment for the thing, I'm going to vote that. And I'm not a person, I have a very strong institution, I'm not a person that gets browbeat, regardless. And I've had people come up and say they should not have that in there. And it's like, you need to read your ordinances. And if we can make it to where they can do this, and the neighbors around them are okay with it, then why not have it? And that's the biggest thing. Everybody wants to live.
You guys are setting. This is the first individual for the planning and zoning that's been called on the carpet here.
No,
We should,
No,
no.
We should-
Offered.
no, I
I
offered.
And give us her
understand, but you guys
opinion.
are questioning her appointment. My thing is, this is if, regardless of how she is, if that's the way her district feels, they should have a voice at the table, regardless whether you two agree with it or disagree. If that's the way that district feels, they should have a voice at that table regardless. We shouldn't be sitting here and saying, well, I don't want this one, but keep going until I got somebody that'll vote the way I do. That seems to be the way I'm looking at it, the way it's going, and it shouldn't be that way.
This
Well,
is
he
a resolution
votes
we
it.
have to vote on.
But it's still, this
Then-
is a bad precedent. This is the
Don't
first
look
one
at
that's
it,
been
don't look
called.
at it that way, Terry. She offered to come up, and I'm glad to hear her opinion.
But he started right off saying stuff that Clyde didn't even say.
I
Trying to
don't think it was a
remember what Clyde said in a
mischaracterization.
phone call.
That's,
Anyway, in my mind, though, I'm glad to hear what you said, because based on your presentations at public comments, at our last meeting, and at the meeting earlier this week, it can look to me like we want Nancy on that committee so that she can stop the change of this ordinance. That's the way it looks to me. And I'm glad to hear you say that that's not what your intent here is.
I will follow the rules of the state or follow the rules of the ordinances within the city of Erda, because those are enlightening. They really are. Because it, like I said, if you can put something on there to where it can be mitigated, because that's what it basically says in the state law, that any of these ordinances can be mitigated. They prefer that they are, instead of just say no or yes. They are to be mitigated. So yes, if they are able to do, what the planning and zoning says, okay, we think that this and this and this, then, so be it.
I think that's a
Did you get
good
your
point of
question
view.
answered?
Okay?
I think so, and I'm ready to make a motion if you'll accept it.
Okay, I'll sit back down.
Thanks, Nancy.
I move that we adopt resolution 24-01.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second.
Roll call.
Roll call. I got word why. When roll call and when not roll call.
We'll go over it after.
Thank you.
Oh, JT.
All right, Scott.
I'm yes.
We got a yes from Scott.
Yes.
Greg, yes. Terry,
Yes.
yes. And Clyde?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm a yes. We have unanimous approval for Nancy Martin to join the planning commission according to resolution 24-01. Congratulations, I think.
Yeah, that may not be the right word.
Let's see. City council assignments, review and assign. That sounds fun. So, Jen was nice enough and organized enough to get these out to us ahead of time. And it looks like we have a chart here showing previous or current assignments. What do we need to adjust, change? Who's gonna be voluntold for what?
Well, when I talked to Craig earlier today on the phone, we mentioned that thought I was just filling on Cal's vacant positions, but there's probably more positions and stuff now than when you first started.
Well, when we first started, though, the only intent of the council was to go find out the best options for the city to proceed and bring back to the council to vote on it. Stuff like who we were gonna get for the police, and who was gonna do the roads and garbage and land use and
So-
ordinance.
We have a plan in front of us now. Is there something we should change about what's in front of us now?
Almost all of it's is an as needed.
Mm-hmm. Don't see my name on there anywhere. I'm okay if it stays that way.
Well, I can tell you the chair has a pretty big role already. But I suspect there's a couple you're not getting out of. IT is one of them, would be my guess, and part of the reason is, in talking with Jess, the chair of the council, probably needs to be on the IT because of the .gov,
Okay,
rules.
that's fine.
Well, should he be on the,
And, you're probably the most IT savvy person of the council. It's not saying a lot.
And I'll take the deal for the least.
I think you'd have competition here.
so should he take Jess's on the Salt Lake Airport Advisory Board? That's another question I wanted to bring up, is that the city council should be the ones to appoint who goes to these committees.
Yes.
People can request certain individuals, but it's
Right.
still, if they're gonna be representing the city, it should be the city council that approves them to go there to participate.
Agreed.
Okay, so we have planning commission, and it looks like we have Craig assigned there, and there's a slash, so I'm assuming that we have in the past had 2 people assigned there?
So me and Jess were land use. It was kind of one. Planning commission comes under land use. They wound up on 2 different lines.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So who do we wanna fill that slot with?
Well, we don't even need a planning commission, do we? They're their
Yes, we need a
own-
planning commission.
They're their own entity, we shouldn't be part of them.
Not in every,
They are their own entity, but there needs to be a representative of the council to make sure planning commission's happening, things are there, report back to the city council. Yeah,
Do we,
every city, every county has a representative that watches the planning commission.
so do we need a second person on that assignment for land use and planning commission with
But they
Craig?
should be.
Yes. I would think we should have someone
Okay,
there.
Since you was on that, I'll put you.
Yeah, okay, I'll go.
where was Kale, where was Jess?
Well, on this, I can give you the ones that was at the very beginning. We had you and I for roads, had you and Craig for police, Cal and Craig for garbage.
And economic development, right?
Yeah.
Had land use was Bird and Smith. Ordinance adoption was Smith and Martin. IT was Martin and Bird. Finance was Minor and Druby. Office location was Martin and Bird. So like I said, some of that stuff we don't need anymore. Well, lay dormant in case we ever need them again.
so
That was the original.
Clyde has said that he will go with Craig on planning commission and land use. Is this something we vote on one at a time? I wouldn't think so. I think this is just an assignment.
I don't even know if it's, yeah, these are just assignments, so I don't think you need to vote on them as long as we agree to it.
Okay, are we in agreement with that, with Clyde on land use and planning commission?
All right, I'm writing it in ink.
Okay, that
it's-
does it then. Scott you're currently on council of governments.
Yeah,
We're gonna continue that.
yeah. Yeah.
Agreement? Any reason to change? Okay. We have Scott and Terry on finance. Is there a need to change that?
No, nobody wants to try and do what Terry's doing.
I agree.
Nobody wants that.
Roads, we
Is my
have.
6 months up yet? That's my question.
No, it's
I remember
not.
volunteering
Oh.
for 6 months.
It's not up.
6 months will be 2 years next month.
You're counting the wrong months.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Scott and Terry on roads.
Yeah.
Any change suggested there? Any discussion? Okay. We've got Craig on economic development, and we've got a blank spot there.
That was Kale.
That was Cal.
Okay.
He volunteers.
So I can go there too, it's as needed, so what does that entail?
You don't
Texas
get to know
Roadhouse
that
here.
ahead of time.
The Texas Roadhouse? Well, the last guy that got the Rodizio Grill wasn't too favorable.
Anybody wanna fill Clyde in really quick on what that entails?
Occasionally we'll have someone call, want to bring a business in, or we'll look for how to bring a business in. Occasionally, I mean, it's not a real demanding committee.
It's not a go out and solicit people to come bring their businesses.
It could
to-
be, but you'd
I'm
have to spearhead that.
not a salesman,
Okay. Sounds like that's a good one for you?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got Craig and Scott, police. We need to change or discuss on that? Okay. Okay, we have Craig on airport. This is one you brought up a second ago, Terry.
Well, it's one of them. So I am on the Airport Technical Advisory Committee.
That's different than the Salt Lake.
That is different than the, this Airport Advisory Board down here.
I'm on a Twilla Valley, well, it's a TVY master plan. I've been
Yeah.
going to meetings. I don't,
So, yeah, Jess did serve on the one. They asked that I would serve on it. But if I serve on that, I need to be off of the other one.
So let's deal with the
Like Terry said, it's, I think, largely up for us to decide, not them.
well, let's decide on the Salt Lake Airport Advisory Board then. We okay with Craig serving there as has apparently been requested?
I'm okay serving there.
which one did you want off of then?
The Technical Advisory Board,
Technical Advisory. There.
I don't think you're allowed to serve on both of them.
You want that, Sheldon?
I don't know what it is, but sure.
Sometimes they have meetings every month. They haven't had one for 3 months. They're typically on Zoom. They typically give you 2 or 3 weeks notice at least before.
I don't know how technical I can be with an airport, but I'm willing.
I think they're gonna just wanna inform you of things that they're doing and plans that they have.
Yeah,
And,
Okay.
and they might take
I'll do that.
input from you, or they might not.
Try and pay attention. Okay, County Economic Opportunity Board. Craig is currently assigned there.
Yes, the county appointed me to that board for, I think, a 4-year term.
Okay. No issue there.
How's that different than economic development, Craig?
As part of the economic development, that's how I wound up on that board from the county.
And
And we meet the couple hours before COG,
that goes back to my question, how can they appoint you instead of the city?
because it's their board, they get to appoint their board.
Again, like I said, if you're gonna do the city, it should have came to us first, and then we give the okay for you to do it. If you want to be as a citizen, as far as I'm concerned, you can go do what you want, but if you're gonna represent the city, it should have went through the city.
Well, it kind of did. Scott was there, and I don't know. I've been on it for almost 2 years.
Well,
I think-
we brought this up before too, but
I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable that we should be approving those at this end. So let's make sure we do that in the future, all of us. If there's an invitation or an ask for one of us to serve on another new committee or board, we ought to probably approve it here first. Is there any reason that we need to make a change there? Terry, are you
no.
bothered by that one, or just the
No.
process?
It's a process.
Okay.
So we're appointing Craig.
We're letting him stay.
If Kendall was here, we'd say, we're appointing him. Kendall, you're not drafting him, we're appointing him.
Per state statute, the county appoints the members to that board. This is a state statute that outlines this board.
So,
That helps you.
which means it's not necessary, it doesn't necessarily have to be an Erda City Council representative to the board.
It does specifically state you have to have a representative from each municipality.
So then the municipality should have that power to appoint.
That is how it's worded.
Maybe so, but it
It's a
sounds like the state
state
statute
statute.
doesn't agree.
If that helps you at all.
I'm with Craig. Let's stick with Craig.
All right, sticking with Craig for now. Mosquito Abatement District,
Yes, I was assigned to that one. Once again, I'm
by
on
the
there for,
mosquitoes or by the city?
by the city.
Okay,
Then I'm there for a 4-year term.
okay. That stays, and apparently I'm filling in that gap on the IT chart there, on the chart on the IT row,
You should probably have someone there with you also.
okay?
Good luck.
Good luck.
I don't even answer
Terry's the-
emails, let alone.
Terry's the next best IT guy here. I mean,
Terry's got a lot, Terry does a lot. Terry does a lot.
he's got some computer skills.
He does. if no one else will, I'll fill in. It happens. But if anyone else wants to, let's put them in ink.
Either of you two wanna throw your name in the pool?
I don't even know what IT stands for, so I probably shouldn't be on it.
Make up a few.
I'll do it with you.
You'll do it with me? Okay. All right, it's me and Terry. Terry's adding one more to his list. Land
Another
use.
0 to my payroll.
I don't think, maybe a zero in front.
I'm up to 6 zeros now.
Land use we covered, HR and hiring is Terry, and, sounds like looks like we need a second person there.
We need somebody else on land use too, don't we?
That's Clyde.
That was Clyde, we added Clyde to that one. So HR and hiring. Terry, what do we need there?
How I got there.
Okay,
I think you brought it up. You got this.
is that something where should I fill in that gap?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably.
Okay, put my name on there. Somebody, because I don't have a pen.
I'll loan you one.
Jennifer's getting all
We've
of
got
it.
the advisory board, Salt Lake Airport Advisory Board, emergency operations, Terry and Scott.
Yeah,
Does that stay as is?
yeah.
What is the difference between this one and the airport technical advisory?
The emergency operations through the
Are
county.
you talking about the Salt Lake Airport Advisory Board?
Yeah, that one supposed to be combined, the airport
No,
technical
they're two
advisory.
separate assignments by Salt Lake airports, and we don't allow the same person to overlap on the two, apparently.
Okay,
So that's why we had to take Craig off of that, because we put him on the other.
So Craig is on Salt Lake Airport Advisory Board, and then we just put me on the Airport Technical Advisory. Okay, emergency operations will stay as Terry and Scott.
Okay,
Zoning administrator, stay as Craig.
Yep.
Treasurer, Terry.
Somebody else want it?
no. No, we could not run this city if we didn't have Terry running our finances.
Code enforcement, Scott.
Yeah, that one is up for grabs if anybody wants.
You want to swap?
No, no. I won't.
All right, grants. It looks like we've got two new entries here at the bottom of our chart. Grants. What is that going to entail?
That was just something as an option. You guys had discussed it previously about having a board on that because we're starting to look into grants.
Grant committee.
Can that be Jennifer?
Not,
Currently, it is just Jennifer.
she can be on any board, but she can't be a city council rep on the board.
Well, this is grants. Isn't this just looking to see and checking and doing that stuff?
We don't have to have a council appointee there.
I agree, I think we can do that
We can wait.
when it comes.
It's just an option.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Becomes
For
necessary.
example, the Council of Governments sometimes just says, look, these things are available if you have a plan or you have a need or you're working on some project, they can help you with this. And so those things will probably just come to us at different places.
Okay, so this will be the third time in this meeting that the Utah Inland Port Authority has been mentioned. What do we need to do with that one?
I
don't think you can do anything. I think they're just gonna do whatever they want.
That's the impression I get.
After going to that meeting the other day, I think they're,
So why is it on our chart?
Again, an option because you guys didn't have one to have a specific person
Option
assigned
to
to it
assign someone to
be responsible for going to those meetings.
to supervise that.
we have absolutely 0 square inches of Utah Inland Port Authority property in Erda City, so I don't know.
I won't say that. We got some railroad tracks that will be running through the inland port that goes through the city of Erda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true,
That's right.
but I don't think that's part of the port, is it?
Yeah, that's 20 wells.
I didn't see it on their thing, but I didn't look that closely.
one that's going through Burmister's 20 wells.
So do we want, is there a reason for us to assign someone to that responsibility?
I would think not. That should be if anything comes up, discussed at city council anyway.
if there becomes a need, we can assign someone.
It looks to me like they invite whoever they want to the meeting and the rest of us is public.
Okay.
That's the way I took it from that meeting the other couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
We've got a couple more, seeing as Kendall was here and asking for someone to be at Mid-Valley Highway, we should point so somebody's there.
Wouldn't that just be me and Craig, or me and Terry? I
I
mean,
think that would be one option, is to say that our roads committee is gonna handle that. Another option would be to say, well, that's a separate thing. There's one assignment for roads. I think it could be
And,
separate.
and I'm fine saying the roads committee does it.
that's what we've been doing.
Yeah,
That seems clean and easy, as long as we know that,
as long as we know who's assigned.
as long as Terry's gonna be there and make sure Scott knows about it.
Drag me along.
Yeah.
You better drag him along. Terry.
I'm his Uber.
It sounded like you wanted as many people there anyway, regardless of
Yeah.
appointment.
Well,
But we can only have two.
Oh,
three, then it's a quorum.
oh, gotcha.
And he really just wants to, I think, coalesce the voice of Erda with other voices in the county on the topic, so.
Which he might not want Scott.
That's a good reason to include it.
The other one that I have that I think we
There's a
should
good
get
chance of that.
started on immediately is all of our county contracts
Oh, yeah.
expire in June. I think we should have a committee to talk with the county and, put these contracts, all these contracts together. We have the roads, police, we also have, potentially
That used to be the finance committee.
the road, or the, civil inspections, we may have to contract through them. So I think we should put a separate committee together for dealing with the county and those contracts.
So as compared to having people who are already assigned to the roads committee deal with that contract, I think we should have a separate committee to deal with all of the contracts.
With the county, yeah, I think so.
Like I said before, that was that was the finance committee. But I don't know if you want us to do a different one besides the finance committee. It's up to you guys.
It's up to who?
Us.
Us.
It's up to us. My suggestion is we put a separate committee together to deal with the county and all those contracts there.
Okay,
My recommendation would be that you and I serve on that committee.
okay.
Surprise.
I like serving, Terry.
Fine by me.
Terry, you got another idea?
Nope,
You sure?
I'm keeping it to myself.
Okay. All right. Okay, Scott, you have an opinion?
On one hand, it seemed like if Terry and I worked on the roads contract but then on the other hand, this all needs to be a little bit centralized, I think. So that as we work on these different projects, or these different contracts with the county, it's not a matter of, well, I better see what they're doing on the police before I make a real commitment with the roads, and then we become disjointed. And so,
Yeah, one way would require a lot of communication and some pauses in our thinking, and the other way would be a little more centralized.
My concerns here are, and it was last time we did these contracts, we were here in this room trying to approve it and get it done, and if we didn't, our contracts expired the next day.
That was the first one. The last one we did.
The last one was pretty close too. Really close. That's a road I don't want to go down again. I'd just assume get on it, get talking with them, get them done.
so we hire the county for police and for roads, for trash.
For trash,
Is there some-
Trash is non-negotiable.
it's not up for negotiation right now.
Right.
The only one that we could change would be the law enforcement and the roads.
But there's more potential ones.
There's just one thing I wanted everybody here to know, for like our law enforcement, that's like $1,000 a day is what we're paying right now. So,
Write more tickets on Drew Bay, pay for that. I contribute that a little bit.
So that's the other part of the thing, that whoever's gonna be negotiating should know what the costs are and
Yeah.
what other people are paying and everything else. 'Cause,
I agree.
I mean, they do a really great job and all that stuff, but it is.
But it's
high-
expensive.
It's a high item.
Yeah.
Roads ain't no big deal, cause we just pay them what the state pays us.
Well, I have plenty to learn, including that type of thing. I'm willing to do it, Terry, if you'll, help me. Make sure I'm not missing something important like that you want me to know about. If you
I'll tune you up.
tune me up, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, I'd just go.
In case you haven't noticed yet.
Give me more than the battery that you gave your granddaughter, or whatever it was, when you tuned me up. All right. Okay.
So that's official? I should write it
Sounds
in.
official. Does it sound official to you?
So Terry and Sheldon's gonna be that committee?
No, that's.
Craig and Sheldon?
Craig and Sheldon.
Yeah.
That's who the county wants.
Okay.
All right. Craig, did you have more committee
You're gonna
suggestions?
be an advice.
That's all I have off the top of my head. I'm sure more will come up eventually.
All right.
Some will drop away.
All right. Okay, those assignments are complete, so now we have discussion of repeal of low-impact business regulation.
Where Rochelle gives her speech.
Yeah, well, let's let Rochelle speak on.
Councilman Smith, I believe.
There is some fear. Okay,
You're giving me a hard time. Taking all the committees, I thought I'd let you take this one too.
Had to make him sweat for a minute.
Yeah, it worked too. Did you see him squirm?
I did.
I did.
There's some concern about the way the low impact business is written. What brought this to light, and I hate to keep picking on the Matterns, but they've actually done us a great service by helping us realize there's some things in our codes we need to iron out. Had they not had vehicles over the 26,000 gross vehicle weight, they could have been considered a low impact business and could have had trucks all over their lot and in and out of there at all hours of the night and day without any conditions being able to be imposed to help mitigate any adverse impact they had on the neighbors. The way it's written today, we could have somebody have a salvage yard as long as all of the cars are hidden behind the back of their homes. That can be an environmental issue if that were to happen. There are just some things in this that either need to be tightened up and better defined, like what we're trying to do with home-based businesses, or we could start maybe by making it a conditional use. I don't know. I'm not personally so much opposed to what Erda City is trying to do, but I think the way it's done today is very vague and could start causing some nuisances with neighboring properties. And so that's why I'd asked, as we were looking through the home-based business, that maybe we relook at this one as well.
So this is the way it's written now, right?
And the intent of this being on the agenda is simply for us to discuss it and come up with a plan to move forward.
Decide if you even want to. If you want to move it forward to planning commission, if you want to repeal it while it gets reworked, if you have some suggestions you want to send to planning commission on ways we can tighten it up a little bit, or leave it as is. It's up to the council right now.
If we repeal it, John, then we have no law at all, right? We have no ordinance at all.
I think this allows the use.
Oh,
Yeah, we still have business license. This is an additional one that was put in that permitted
okay.
most everything.
Which is, it's nice to streamline it. You want people to have their home occupations and their entrepreneur opportunities. Yeah, we just want to make sure that it remains cohesive with the residential areas.
So if we repeal it, then moving forward, everything defaults back to the ordinance that governs our general business licenses, correct?
Correct.
Everything, any business license moving forward would fall under the home occupation today, because we don't have the home-based business yet. And would have to go through that process. Which would not allow, so that's one thing to keep in mind, would not allow anything outside of the home. This does.
And if we were to choose to repeal, how would it affect those, anyone already functioning?
I can answer that a little bit. So our business licenses run from June to June. So anybody that's been given a current business license, they're still allowed to operate till the end of June under that current license. And then when it comes time for renewal, hopefully at that point, we would have a new, if you decide to make changes, we would have the new items in place so that then I could then change the computer program in which they apply under. So I agree that if you want to make changes, starting now would be the best so that we have time to make all the necessary changes before before renewals come around, so that we can get all those ducks in a row. But anybody applying from this time forward, because we do get occasional business licenses here and there, we would just have to do it under the new conditions. And it would change quite a few things, because several people currently in Erda don't even have to have a license under this low impact business ordinance, which has benefits and not. One option is to consider, I know that the North Tooele Fire District isn't a big fan of not requiring them to have any sort of license, because they like to know where potential fire hazards are within the community. Something that I've heard that Tooele County does is those that are this really low impact business don't have to pay for the license, but we still issue it. That way we still have a record of it, but they didn't have to pay to obtain it. Does that make sense? And our fees are pretty moderate as is. It's $30 for a low impact plus $5 employee, or $50 for a commercial plus $5 employee. So it's not that the business licenses are super expensive to begin with, but if we're looking to mitigate cost, we could simply say that those that fit under those could be free, but that way we still have a record of it, so that for safety purposes.
We change it that even the low impact businesses, go through the fire and planning approval. One thing that got brought up, and I was talking to Councilman Smith about it at a planning commission meeting, and that's how he said, well, let's talk about it, was a welding shop. Fire does not like people to do commercial welding in their garage. It's a real concern, but the low impact business would allow that.
The low impact business license will allow nearly anything, as long as they do not own and operate more than one semi-truck and have 3 employees or less. Which doesn't mean that they can't have trucks delivering to them, because they can, as long as they don't own it and operate it themselves. It really, near as I can tell, allows almost any business with 3 employees or less, as long as they have off-street parking and a sign that's less than 30 inches. Those are the only limitations on what a business can be, and that doesn't seem like it's a great idea.
It's got pros and cons. I don't know.
And it's permitted. It's not something that's even challengeable. It is permitted.
It allows businesses to have a place to start up in a residential area in Erda quickly and inexpensively. But it was a lot of the public comment that came out of the change in the home-based business that brought a lot of questions up.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we rewrite this and then repeal?
You wouldn't read, oh, sorry, go ahead, John. Yeah, you just amend it, not.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, rather than
that's-
take it right off the table.
That's the discussion. Do we want to repeal it and then rewrite it, or just send it for a rewrite?
It can be done either way.
It can be done either way,
One way takes it off the books and
until it's fixed.
until it's fixed, so it's not a
The other way,
possibility.
just sends it through the process to fix it.
Which
To
means
me,
we
like-
can still receive applicants under this ordinance while it's being
It
fixed.
seems to me like we ought to rewrite it. I mean, Jennifer said something that made the hair stand up on the back of what if we don't get this done before all of the new building, or all the new business licenses come due in June again?
And they would either fall under the home occupation or the home-based business, depending on what zoning district they're in.
So the business licenses that we adopted everything Twilla County had. So
Right.
any business you could run when it was Twilla County, you could still run in Erda. This was an additional one that we put in to make it easy for a business to start up. And while I support that, I still have questions on,
Well, when you explain the whole thing,
There's a
and
lot.
some of the broad-reaching ramifications it can have, then there's something we gotta rewrite it. You have a comment, Haley?
I do. So my grocery business falls under the low impact business. But one thing I was thinking if you guys did add, so because of my business is so low impact, I also fall under the exempt under Twilla County. And I always tell them, well, I'll donate some money because I feel like as a business I should be able to help the county. But they're like, no, you don't, you fall under the exempt under these ramifications, and maybe if you add that in there, that under the low impact, you must fall under like the exempt, category. It's very, do you have the wording on the exempt?
That is from state. The state code says there's certain types of businesses you cannot charge a fee for. You can require them to go through the permitting process, but you cannot charge a fee.
Because I used to pay before when I lived in West Jordan and also in Park City, I paid that, and I wasn't exempt to it.
It just changed a few years ago. It came from do you remember the Alex lemonade stands that were a big deal for a while? It came from that. There were some jurisdictions that were trying to force those little kids to get business licenses to do their fundraiser lemonade stands. And so the state just said, there's certain things you can't charge a business license for.
That in there, help in there.
Sure, I think there's a number of, and we'd appreciate you, if we did, as we go through the rewrite process, it'd be appreciated your input probably with whoever's doing the rewrite and get through it.
He's not afraid to give me your input, and I greatly appreciate it.
so
It's been very helpful.
the low impact business, it was designed specifically for that type of business. That truly has almost no impact on anybody around. That's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
What I fear that it allows is if you drive from Twilla down Derby Road, you'll see a great big gray and red building,
I think it's more black and red.
black and red. If they have less than 3 employees and parking on site for them, they could put a steel fabrication shop like that in their backyard. They don't own a truck. They have trucks coming in with steel and trucks going out with steel. It would fall under this low impact business license. There needs to be some kind of guardrails put up.
That's
we
where
don't-
Buck gets really upset with Jen when she issues that business license.
Or even better, they go through the license and it says you're low impact, you don't have to have one, and then we never know about them.
Yeah, so
That's the hard part for me, is that it's not knowing. Technically, your wife doesn't have a business license, but she did it, and she's low impact, which is fine. She has a lot of chemicals and things in her office, and, you know what I mean, and should have those inspections done.
How do we ensure we're capturing any possible sales tax if there's no business license?
So what's your recommendation?
Benefit of repealing and rewriting is then anybody that's heard our conversations tonight isn't gonna rush in and try to hurry and get a low impact business license before we change it. There's your benefit there. If you're not concerned about that, then we would need some recommendations from the council to take back to planning commission, because planning commission ultimately has to be the one to rewrite it and recommend it to you. Yes. It's in the land use tables.
I might be way out in left field here, but I had a conversation with Buck, the fire marshal, and he stated that if you have a business from 0 to 20,000 square feet, you have to have so much water on hand for fire retention, is that right? And
That's
that,
fire code.
I might be wrong, but I'm under the impression that that's why Ensign Engineering Building is shut down, because they don't have water for fire.
Commercial spaces, not
Yeah.
residential. That's for commercial.
Only commercial, but isn't a
Yes.
business commercial?
No,
Fine line?
it's the, what's the area zoned as? Which is why you have the rules of what's allowed in each zone.
Anyway, in that conversation, he implied that he was quite worried, especially about the welding. Welding. You can have a fire on anything, but.
All right, so
Don't.
Noxious gases and various things with welding he was really concerned about.
There's a solution to this. If it is land use, I didn't look it up, I'm sorry. You can do a pending ordinance and then prevent anybody from jumping in while you're analyzing and determining what to do, why it goes through the planning process.
If it's land use, wouldn't it require public notification?
Oh, yes, if this will have, anything we do with this will have to go to planning commission because it's in the land use tables.
No, I mean, as far as a public hearing type thing.
Yes, there'll have to be a public hearing with the 10-day advertisement. It will have to be adopted by this body by ordinance. So it has to go through that process, legislative.
Can we repeal this without giving the public notice or hearing and all that stuff?
I believe you still have to do an ordinance to repeal it, correct? But it just doesn't have to go to planning commission.
We cannot repeal this, but if you're worried about it, we can adopt a pending ordinance that says this is a chain. It puts this brakes on anybody applying for 180 days while we're considering.
and we could do that tonight without public notice?
The answer to that is yes and no. So the world's on notice, if somebody wants to file something, I'll fight them. If they want me to fight them and say, look, you knew. But formally to do a pending ordinance, we'll probably put it on the next meeting. We have a formal pending ordinance.
It makes more sense.
It makes more sense to do as a pending ordinance on the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to just repeal it like chapter 9?
I don't think you're allowed to
We
say that.
could.
So that's- It's a joke, it's a joke. On Daryl's behalf.
Okay, so all we need to do now is decide whether we are intending to repeal it, and we're instructing our staff to bring us a repeal to, or, you know, to note
I don't
it.
even know if it's a repeal.
It's just a pending ordinance.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
way
just to look at it.
John's recommending we do it, it's just a pending.
And that seemed like a clean way to do it.
Okay,
All right,
so let it be written.
yeah,
For my clarification, what does that mean for new applications if we receive them?
nothing
Well,
yet.
is everybody in favor of this?
Yeah.
Okay. If they call, tell them to call me. I'll tell them.
Or they have to follow the home occupation.
Wait,
So they would just have to follow the other
Yeah.
rules that we have laid out,
but
just
Yes,
this one.
they could still apply for any business license other than the low impact one.
but
I need to go fix that then.
we're.
Yes, we'll need to
The
do
computer
civic review,
Put it on
yes.
the website right now. Not right now, but tomorrow.
Okay.
But the pending ordinance isn't gonna go into effect until the next meeting.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the world is on notice, but to do it really formally and have no question, I adopted in writing, and it identifies when the 180 days starts, when it stops, all the dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
Sound good to everybody? Hearing no negative. We'll go with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Discussion on a council agenda policy.
This was one that I put on there.
You would.
I would. I know that we have been following the letter of the law closely. And the
Okay.
law says we give 24 hours notice of a meeting and everything on the agenda is there. I would like to see the city policy be that, well, I was originally thinking 7 days. Terry has suggested 72 hours before a meeting. I'm willing to go to 72 hours unless there's people that think it should be 7 days. But I think we should have our agendas posted a minimum of 72 hours before our meetings, and all supporting documents, ordinances, should also be posted for public to see. It's happened multiple times. We come to a meeting, we're talking about an ordinance. Sometimes we haven't seen it or seen the details of it, and the people in the audience are clueless to what we're talking about. So I would like to see, as a city policy, that everything is posted with staff packets.
I'm
So,
clueless either way.
so anybody can see it 72 hours before our meetings. I don't have my hearing aids in, so I couldn't hear Terry. He's way over
I
there.
didn't hear Terry either, but
I just said I'm clueless either way.
Oh,
Well, I mean, everybody can show up uninformed, and that's their right, but that would give anybody in the public more than just reasonable notice. They can see exactly what it is we're talking about and come give public input that is direct and specific to what it is that we are looking at.
So this have to be by resolution? John?
Yeah, I think we have a policy in place, and we need to amend that policy.
Yeah, and this is just the discussion to get, see if that's something the council agrees with.
I think we're all in agreement that that would be a positive thing to increase transparency and availability of information. Is that right?
Where's it gonna be posted? Cause right now I've gotta deal with Utah Gov meetings, notifications.
Yep.
But I usually get them a week late or the day of, or the last 2 weeks I haven't got them at all.
I think that code suggests or tells us where, to some degree, where things have to be posted, which includes public areas, right?
So they are all posted on the Utah Public Notice website, along with all of the handouts. That's where all the handouts typically go. It's the easiest place to upload it. Agendas are also posted on our city Facebook page. They're also
Right.
posted on our city website.
That's where I've been getting them.
And on that website, there's also a link to find the other handouts and notices. So it's on the website in two places. It's on the front page where it gives you like a calendar list of, oh, here's a meeting. And if you click on it, it takes you to the calendar and gives you the agenda. But if you go into the specific organizations like planning and zoning or city council, you click on either current or past meetings, and it brings you to a folder that has all of the same items that are listed on the Utah Public Notice website. So there's
Able to figure that out myself.
So I guess my question, who informs the Utah State meetings we're having a meeting?
I do, like the Utah Public Notice website.
Responsibility of the chair, and Jen does a wonderful job of doing that for the chair.
So how come I get them a week late then?
I
You gotta check your
So I-
emails.
I send it to the Utah Public Notice website and I upload everything, and then you can subscribe to their emails,
That's what I did.
and then they send it out from there. So I don't know if it's an issue with their program.
Wait, Clyde, are you getting like the notice that it's been where it's been uploaded, like the minutes? Is that what you're
Sometimes you might get
Oh.
an additional thing, because I have to go in tomorrow and upload the minutes and the audio of every meeting, or there might be other times where I upload stuff a little later, and once I hit publish, it will notify you that I have sent that out. So you might get a secondary notice. That's why it might be a week late. So it might be the minutes, and the minutes usually come several weeks after.
Right, I can get the one, or I was getting it, that had the agenda and everything on it.
Mhm.
But I'm not getting it anymore, but then sometimes it'll come in the next week.
Those are, anytime she goes back and posts any amendment, it'll send you the whole thing with all the additional things she's added to it.
So we need a recommendation to take this, to ask staff to amend this policy for us. Is that what we need to do is?
I'll move that we direct the attorney to draft a resolution.
Can we add something to that before you do that?
Let's hear what you want to add.
Well, it was the thing about 3 is a majority.
Oh,
Let's slide that in.
yes, because Terry's mentioned this a couple times, that we have a policy or somewhere, we're not
At a
even
meeting.
exactly sure. We always agreed that city council takes 3 votes, not a majority of the quorum present, but it takes 3 votes for anything to pass.
to represent the city and everything.
Uh,
It's 3 members.
And Terry would like that in a resolution, and we could certainly put that right in this policy.
Because right now, in the council rules of procedure, it says all votes require a majority shall be a majority of the quorum present. And I know we went over that in a meeting several times to say, no, 3 is the minimum.
Does that need a different resolution to change that, John?
So you wanna change it from majority of the quorum present to
3.
3, so that you couldn't have it voted on by 2 and get it
Right.
approved,
If
correct?
it takes 3 for a quorum, but all 3 would have to vote yes in order to pass it.
Right. And I know that we originally did it that way. Me and Terry both remember distinctly that we did it that way.
That was the intent.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe somewhere it got,
In meeting minutes somewhere, but instead of trying to track
Yeah.
that down, let's just make a nice, clean resolution, say, this is the way it is.
that it takes 3 votes for anything to pass.
All right, make your motion, Craig.
And to represent the city.
Does that need to be a separate resolution? Okay,
I know what you want me to do.
All right.
Bring it back.
I move that we have council make a resolution or multiple resolutions adopting agenda policy with 72 hours notice, all documentation and be included, and that for anything to pass the city council, it needs a minimum of 3 votes, not a simple majority.
So just to make sure, if there's only 3 of you here, it
Takes
has
all
to
3.
be unanimous.
Has to be unanimous.
And do we need to put something that it takes 3 councilmen to legally represent the city? So we don't have 2 going off and saying, well, I'm at this meeting, I can do whatever, that it takes 3 for anything to say you're representing the city.
So like if we're representing the roads committee, we would have to have,
We just go to meetings and then bring that back, and then all of us vote on it. It takes 3.
I see.
Well, even if you have 2, you gotta have 3 to make an official position of the city.
That's what I'm saying. Do we need that in writing?
All right.
Now I'm good.
You second it then.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yep.
And we've already had too much discussion, so we'll entertain a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
None are opposed. Correct, you said aye.
I did.
All right, I wasn't sure. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, council representative reports. Want to start, Scott?
No, I'm not saying anything. We've
Okay.
been here too long already.
Terry?
Me.
Greg?
Planning and zoning is going to recommend for approval a rezone. That'll probably be in our next meeting.
Okay.
And there's no mosquitoes.
All day long, there's been no mosquitoes, all day long.
You've been monitoring. All right. Comments?
I just want to thank the 2 new members on the council. I think you're going to fit in real well. And I just want to make it officially known that now Clyde has taken over the mantle of the oldest person on the council. I'm no longer that person, so.
I'm the senior geriatric,
We'll take
senior
It's
citizen.
probably a positive. All right.
All right, one more, Mr. Chairman, seeing as I
Yes.
think we were there. I move we take a 5-minute recess and then go into a closed meeting to discuss imminent and reasonable litigation as per Utah Code anointed 52-4-2051C.
Second.
I say.
In favor?
No, that has to be a roll.
Oh, that has to be a roll call. Terry?
Yes.
Clyde?
Yes.
Sheldon is yes.
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 5 yeses. 5-minute recess and then a closed session.
You gotta go up 1 flight of stairs. I'm gonna make the correct. Oh,
Stop it.
yes. Then we'll have to do the recording of the closed session.
I don't know what it's about. Counting?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can be a spokesman for it.
Oh, okay.
You got a group, and you're gonna be a spokesman for the group, you get five. So everybody else gets two. According to our
Sounds good. So is this where we're looking at reading the? Maybe somebody else.
Very helpful.
Will they approve it?
And he will, like, so they probably should have done it in financial.
So I, together a proposal of expenditure on a training that they have for the Utah municipal clerks. Well, you haven't heard how much it's gonna cost yet. So it's in Cedar City for a week. It's, April 1st to the 5th. It's Monday through Friday at SUU. Do you have it? I mean, I can pull it up. I didn't print it up.
But
So,
I brought one.
so it's $395 for the conference itself. And then lodging with, have like different partners that they have.
It's only $1,000. So she's good to go and we can just pay for the people.
Okay.
I'm with Terry. Yeah, do it.
Okay, so then that way I can go and start spending money once you guys sign. And start looking at stuff. So I feel like the sooner it
Just needs to sign it. He said, I thought we brought.
you're over in
Oh,
your.
I just did them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I have it.
Here.
Let me look.
This is just the disclosure and the
It's right here.
behavior problems.
Yeah, that's the one.
That one? Yep.
Sign.
And, oh, you're gonna, digital signature?
No, I don't
You
think
know,
I do.
like, on stuff like this though, just type in it. Like say Sheldon, Birch, and whoever you talk to. Scott,
Okay.
just type it in.
And
Just
that'll be
make sure
good
you talk to them and get their okay.
enough. Instead of like, they won't remember, we'll just put their name, it's fine. Okay. So. Then we have things that we do every time.
I need to fill out this date or we're gonna,
I'll fill that in.
okay, that's for
Jen.
science.
When?
Very interesting.
To learn, I can tell you.
It was part of the meeting.
So even Dad Drew here.
Ooh, I'll have a root beer. I've had one of them forever.
Thanks. Before she's sworn in.
Once in a while, I like beer for the best ones they end up with down there. Heck is all of this?
It's like the interest thing you feel.
Okay, yeah, so then we signed.
Just put NA.
Say retired, no plan, and somewhere, read this, why. Just go through it.
I do a little cabinet work once in a while.
Thanks. Bye.
Or you had to go through that.
Ordinance of resolution.
Have his voice on a lot of things,
Yeah.
but I think Sue, can you, hear what, it's just a.
Personally, I think as long as you represent that district, I
Well,
don't
that's
care.
it.
That's the view of that district.
Those people, because I.
I didn't say you.
Else.
I said you. Actually. I was misquoted.
He goes over to the. Find it. Picture that I just never say that. I said, we've noticed a very thing it's the new staff has came on and so they went to the meets. And then, so when he was talking about it, it's been her. So I'm glad that I said something because it's getting.
Yeah, they weren't.
No, and I think the staff just was there, there's the door, go ahead.
You know. Still be able to snap again.
And I've been in positions that, you know,
Anything I did yesterday doesn't count.
things don't bother me. You know, other people are like, it's not me.
Team of business, what if you don't have one?
So.
Tired. Holdings, stuff like that.
What's the trail change?
That one's a trail course.
Do I have to put something on each line or Erda on one? No.
Which business entity?
So.
Expand the noise.
And two little, I have no grandkids. Those two little twins, they were 8 years old, and they just,
Okay.
I said, oh. Well, they live up in Kenner.
Oh.
Okay,
This is
coming in.
for,
Because they were showing.
Which one?
oh, only one subject to the regulations.
Yes. So if you have
For
any
a couple
with the
of
city.
years, and then it was like, okay, it's time to go.
Okay, yep, so date approved. Throw that in there for you.
That kind of thing, but it was fun.
It's just you.
Okay.
Now,
I am a notary, yes.
You gotta watch me sign this.
I know.
okay.
And you're 27.
Right.
That's what my mom always says. She's gonna be 91, and she keeps telling me, you're just so young. I'm like, no, Mom. I'm old. Yes, you are.
96. I had the same conversation with him.
Is he good in yeah, he's help mom as a work.
That's from my, yeah, he's 90. Sheldon's ethical behavior. And she is dementia.
My mom's
Trying to keep them all straight. Sheldon's, she's down here.
he is up in.
He's Craig's. His other, just really worked at Craig's, Terry's. Terry, Craig, Sheldon.
It's okay. It's more fun too.
Okay. So what?
Why? Have fun. Perfect. Thank you.
Like I said, it's in the budget.
So. Walk to your door. But he's gonna get you and say, come on, let's.
So is this facility assisted living?
It's a second.
Because
So it's called.
Yeah.
You have memory. In one part of it. And so. They have like studios, full studio apartments, and they have one bedroom. They're.
so my wife just lost a close one. Like, she was in assisted living. Being warehouse. Actually. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't assist her with anything. They put food in front of her. That's all they did. I don't know what they chose, but man, maybe we'll get more.
Yes, they're still. Come in and help you shower.
That helped her.
Yeah. It's not, I still, it's like, you know, she doesn't work the food. She's like,
Where does she get that kind of money?
So,
I think it has something to do with the.
But that'll run out eventually.
okay, but she's. She's.
Just till she's 94, like.
it's all public that have The resolution of the meeting.
A war. Once her, we're all,
Need to do like you said.
the rest of her.
I'm just thinking like have them little fields that on Mike or.
Towards, so I think I.
About a third.
How.
Jan, you talk some.
And so what?
Together with IT, so. Okay, so we need to
So
figure
we
it out.
just need to come up with what, and then we'll bring.
Then they take her. Always goes.
It's good to meet you. Okay.
Send me an email.
I think I'm on board with that.
Social Security.
To me or you?
So.
We get it.
There's a lot of.
Call this session.
But. You can.
So I will email you now, let's see for insurance.
Yeah. I love these. Courthouse stuff.
Ranch by them.
Well, that's Lucy Sharon in.
She doesn't get there.
Have, used to have in each of them, you know, they cover each of them, they just bought out. So I'm.
Maine and North California. Houston, we can talk to people. Yeah. Changing. So I tried to do it. They had to do it. For her, and it was only like 500 words. Here.
That's the one you've been using.
It just is so hard. And they've been married for
So
4
we've been seeing a lot of the four holes open, coming back to us.
It's hard.
And it's a very, we all sort of had. Wrong was, yeah, it's a network. And the terms weren't built great. All of us small stores like mine and Rebecca's. He was a middleman for us. Hire a company who pulls agencies together and it says.
Well, I'm done.
How long ago was it?
This is a long time ago, like in the summer.
Kind of.
No, not over a year.
They have a year, no, takes no.
Do you want me to keep it?
That's.
Oh, yeah. So does your set of traps, this is what 9.
5 minutes yet?
It was.
5 minutes.
Where's the gavel?
Hey, guys.
Sorry, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Persona non grata.
Okay. So what we do is cannot be on the same recording, you just tag. We keep the recordings separate for our purposes. But
Yeah, sorry.
broke the city already.
A couple hours in, and you've already broke.
Just charged it. Oh,
So
Now
we
Debbie's
have,
got my mouthful of a giant root beer candy. It's hot.
Oh, but at least they'll spell it. So, there's that. Okay.
Yeah.
they don't have to read it.
I'll read it to you.
And if we're ready to, are we ready to start? It's on.
I got a question before we start. Is this sealed lips? You can't talk to your wife about it, or
That's exactly right.
this is?
Yes,
This is no one outside of this room.